Good morning, Subli-fix. I'm Sue Ann, and today I am going to answer a few questions that some of you have had regarding wood, the drinking bottles, and a ceramic tile. It's easy to kind of group these three together because the same basic principle and process works for all three of them. Because they're not fabric, they do require what we call a little bit of a buildup, crosshatch buildup on the substrates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just talk about the wood first. So on wood, I have done, as you see here, the plain wood. I've done the painted wood, and I've also done the varnished wood that has a lighter coating, because remember that however dark your background is going to affect your image. Okay, so basically all you're going to do is spray your Subli-fix across it, and then what it'll do is it'll put a good amount on there, and then what you're going to do, use a roller, and I use a somewhat spongy roller. There are some that use ones that have a little bit more kind of nap on it, so that it's a little bit thicker, so it leaves a little bit thicker laying down when it goes. So what we're basically going to do is we spray it, and then we roll it, and you want to put just a little bit of pressure on it so that when you're rolling it, it rolls. The biggest problem sometimes that people have is that when they're rolling it, they're actually doing what I call scooting across the wood instead of rolling. And what that does is it picks up what you're laying down. So you definitely want to make sure that you're rolling it from edge to edge, back and forth. And then you want to go the opposite direction, which is up and down. And then once you've done that for one layer, you want to leave that dry. And then you want to repeat the process to where you get at least 3 or 4 layers on there. You want to make sure that it's completely dry. And then when you go to print on this, what you want to do is put it in your heat press, warm it so that make sure that it's completely dry, and then put your image on it and then press it. Typically, I press these for around 385, 390 for about 60 seconds. Now, what you want to do is each press is different because your temperatures come across different in your press. So I would definitely make sure you tape it down. And I do use heat tape. This is one of my thicker ones, but I use heat tape, lay down my image, tape it, so that when I pull it off of the press, I can easily pull up. So if I've taped this down, so this way I can easily pull up on the corner and see if it has completely transferred off the paper. If it hasn't, then that way it's not going to move. We place it back in the press and press it in segments of about 10 to 15 seconds. You don't want to do it too long, because what will happen at that point is you will burn the paper into the wood. Now, the same process goes for tile, ceramic tile, and I have found the best possible tile is the one that has kind of a matte finish on it. The gloss makes it a little hard to print on. It can be done, but the gloss does make it a little hard to print on. So I try to find the matte pieces. And basically, it's the same process. We are going to spray it, take your roller from edge to edge, so that if you're doing a print that's going to go from edge to edge. Now, like this one, I'm a little bit more of a I'm a tester, so I kind of like to play with different sizes and different ways of doing it. But basically what you're going to do is roll it back and forth so that you're getting a good coating. Remember not to scoot the roller across there. You want to roll it. So put just a little bit of pressure on it, then turn it the other way, and then basically you're going to go back and forth. And you're going to do 3 or 4 layers. You'll eventually figure out from playing with it for you how many layers is the best. And then the same process, heat it up, put your transfer on top of it. Once your transfer's on top of it, stick it in your heat press. And then again, because it's taped down, when you go to look at it, you'll be able to move it. You'll be able to look at it without moving your image, because you don't want a ghost on it either. So Basically, those are the two big ones. Now, I know that people are trying to do on round cylindrical types of substrates. Again, I have found the best ones to use are those that have a matte finish on them. It seems to take the product better than if it was a glossy one. Now, you can see on these how big my images are. And so basically, that's the first part of the process, is to determine where I need to place the Subli-fix so that it covers the area that I'm wanting to put the image in. Now, obviously, because these are a little harder, because they're cylindrical, it does make it a little harder to do. So typically what I do is try to figure out some way to hold it with one hand. I spray in the area that I want to put the image. Now, this one's a little larger, so what I would do is I would go back, I would go up and down using my other hand to turn it. And again, be careful that you're not scooting it across there. You want to roll it across there. So you're rolling it up and down, putting a layer, then you turn it the other way, and you do the same thing. Now, it is hard. It's not an easy part of the process. So I would just say, you know, try it a couple of times and see how well you are with holding it and going back and forth. Some of you do tumblers, so you have that cradle that you can just sit it in. You just have to make sure that there's enough room for your roller to go up and down and crossways inside of where that cradle is. Basically the same thing. All I did was layer this 3 or 4 times, dried it in between, and drying is very important on these substrates. Making sure you're giving it a chance to sit before you go to put the next layer on. Now, typically I would do this like the day before, and then that way my last one, my last particular layer that I put on means that it sits out until the next morning. Now, the next morning I do the same process. I print my image, decide how big it you know, I knew how big it was, put it on, tape it, and then again you would put this in your cup press. I'm going to show you my presses here in just a second so that you can see I'm just using regular everyday presses. And again, I would tape this down, and then... Okay, sorry guys, I had kind of a technical glitch happen. So I just wanted to recap really quickly. So when you're doing wood, ceramic, or anything cylindrical, and you're getting ready to put it in your press, what you want to make sure you do is take your paper, make sure that it wraps around enough, and then that you can tape, like you see here, you'd be able to tape it on the back, so that way you don't run the risk of having any kind of indentation or a mark from where the tape was on the front side. I do use heat tape, and so I also wanted to just make sure that you remembered that you do, when you use your spray on your material, your fabrics, you want to make sure you're 6 to 8 inches away, and you want to make sure that you don't overspray. It's not the more you put on there, the better it is. What'll happen is if you put too much on there, then it'll get stiff. So we don't want that. So 6 to 8 inches, a couple of sprays. Use your roller, roll it up and down and then left and right to get it into the fabric. And then for hard surfaces, you can use the roller in a pan, in a paint pan, little small ones, and then just roll it on your roller and put it on your harder substrates. Now, I did tell you that I was going to show you the 2 pieces of equipment that I have that I use. So here is my press. My press is only 15 by 15, but it is a coastal. I did get it used, so make sure you watch for your local places. And then here's my cup one. This is one of the ones that has like a 6-piece on it, and I pretty much leave it always in the cup particular section. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get with me. And remember all of the things that you can do with Subli-fix. It's amazing. It's a wonderful product, and I use it, and I enjoy selling it. So if you have any questions, just get a hold of me. Bye.